Yo, Saf, again. It's always gonna be me, guys. um, if you read the title, it's Loki, man. So we talking about. I don't know. I don't know. Let's go. All right, so this will serve as my Marvel Studios Disney Plus original series Loki series review. I guess. Yeah. Sure, why not? Um Loki, man. Yeah. Hmm. Where do I want to begin? Okay, first let's begin with the fact that this is the third, 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 third. Because it has WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh yes, Black Widow don't count. Okay, so this is Marvel's third entry into MCU Phase 4, which, if you're a Marvel head like myself, you know exactly what the fuck I mean when I say MCU Phase 4. The Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4. Period. And it's interesting because this came out, well, this was all done during like pandemic time, was it? I don't know when this shit was shot, but during the pandemic, Marvel decided, hey, you know what? Since people are going to be at home, not necessarily at the movies, and we got this great content, like, kind of ready to go, well, duh, let's just put it on our fucking streaming platform. That's when we got WandaVision, which, phenomenal programming. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was also phenomenal. Loki was good as well. Not bad. Only reason I did not say phenomenal is because this shit is not over. And that's probably my most biggest discrepancy with it. Now, I don't know how long we into this or whatever. I'm about to start dropping spoilers. They not even really spoilers because you could have watched this shit by now. Like, these episodes came out weekly for like 6 weeks. And yeah, it's been like almost a week, 2 weeks since the last episode dropped, since the season finale. You ain't watched it by now, you don't want to watch it, in my opinion. Or maybe you just caught up in other shit. Either way, I'm about to get into this. So if you not a fan of Loki or Marvel or no shit like this, I know some blurs, they just, or some black people, y'all don't, or people, whoever you are listening, y'all don't give a fuck about this nerdy ass shit. So you can leave. Not in a bad way. Just saying, like, if this not your cup of tea, you don't gotta sip. And if it is, you know what I'm saying, stick around. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm about to you got like 2 seconds. When y'all get off, I'm gonna start. So now that they gone, let's talk about it. Mid. Which is funny because if you just listen to the other episode I did about the NBA finals or whatever, mid. but not mid in a bad way, obviously, because I know what the fuck mid means. Just, it's unfinished. And I feel like that's a fair critique, because this is ultimately the start of something. 6 episodes for season 1. They tell us at the end of season 6 that season 2 is going to be a thing, which I was probably more excited. That's probably my favorite part when they said, oh, season 2, this nigga's coming back. I was like, okay, good, because what the fuck did I just watch with like all the episode 6 made more questions than it did answers for me. I don't even know if I phrased that correctly, but you get what I'm saying. Let's just run it down. So, episode 1, Glorious Purpose. There's a scene which they actually incorporated into the series. I like when Marvel do shit like that. Like, yes, call back your early material, nigga, because that shit is phenomenal. There's a scene in Endgame where they got like Loki detained and they're going through the lobby at, I guess that's Stark Tower or Avengers Tower. I don't know what tower that is, but they going through a tower lobby. Tesseract pops out Boom, Loki grabbed that shit, teleports away. You should remember that from Endgame. It's kind of funny. It was like one of those scenes where Marvel put a little bit of comedy in there with their nerdiness. It's funny, but he's teleported away, and then the TVA show up to capture him. We get introduced to the Time Variance Authority. That's what TVA mean. All the shit that they do, why they do it, who tell them to do it, the fucking timekeepers, all that. B-15, who is played by, you know what? I know her name. I don't know how to pronounce it. So, for the sake of not butchering somebody's name and being disrespectful of a black person and the name that they mama gave them, I'm going to just, shout out to B-15. Yavanna as well. She has a name that I haven't taken the time to put it in my brain so I know how to pronounce it correctly without fucking it up. So shout out to B-15 and Yavanna because the people that play them, they did phenomenal acting. Like the acting was to the point where when we get to season 6, I'm gonna go to that a little bit because some things. But yeah, so episode 1, we get introduced to everybody. We find out what the fuck going on. Boom. Morbius, who is played by Owen Wilson. I like Owen Wilson. It's one of the few white actors that have personality to me. And it's not like a copy of no other actor. He just on here with his crooked nose and his hook nose. What? I don't even mean to be rude when I say that. That's funny. He's on here, with his personality being him. He killed the role, in my opinion. I like Owen Wilson. Comedy is good. Moving on. He did get Yavanna to allow him to use Loki in some experiment. We found that at the end of the episode, the experiment is we're going to use you to catch your other use. That don't seem difficult at all, do it? Like, oh my God, you find out you got all these copies of yourself in these different universes or whatever, and this man who just stole you from wherever the fuck you landed by accident wants you to help you catch him. Cool. I want you to help him catch him. Either way, episode 2, they go on. Morbius actually initiates his plan. They track down a variant by the name of Sylvie. Turns out that she's a female or woman version of Loki. I hate the word female. She's a woman version of Loki, and which, I have my own opinions about that. Because there's some time down the line, where they start falling in love, whatever. People in the Marvel community felt like, narcissism and all this other shit. Like he falling in love with himself. What's up with that? I feel like Sylvie is her own individual Loki. Same way all the other Lokis are. Like, you didn't get along with all of them. And some of them, they're not even fucking human. You got alligator Loki. But they find out she's the variant that they're tracking down. They track her down, figure out how she's evading them. And they meet up with her. Loki ends up running off with her. They end up on this planet Lamantis, which is where episode 3 comes in. They explore their connections and feelings to each other more. Not in a sexual way, just more of a let's have conversation and dialogue. Something like how adults need to do these days. Like just talk to your partner and figure out what the fuck it is instead of just relying on moving along, because it's not a relationship podcast. Yeah, so they do all of that. Figure out like, oh yeah, we got to get off of here. Morbius is back at the TVA trying to track them down. He does end up tracking them down. They go and get them motherfuckers because they're not supposed to escape the TVA. We end up in episode 4. The Nexus event is the title. And this is where B-15 is put onto game. Like, hey, you are a variant. The TVA kidnapped you just like they kidnapped the rest of your co-workers and Lokis and all this other shit. And some foul shit is going on. We need to figure this out. So when we get down to the timekeeper's chamber, we finally get to see them. Yavanna is reluctant, but it happens. Find out them motherfuckers just some robots sitting on the wall. Like, I was very perplexed. I'm like, first of all, I thought the timekeeper chamber was like in the middle of blank space. It's in the back. It was in the back of the TVA. And then it's like these like 5-foot lizards just sitting on this like these little pedestals. I thought these things were supposed to be gigantic. I'm thinking like otherworldly, you know what I'm saying? Like celestial beings. They were not. They were robots on the wall. Sylvie did the honor of chopping the head off, and it was all wires. Catch that. Episode 4. Episode 5, Journey into Mystery. This is where we end up at the end of the time, really. I think it's the end of time. Some place called the Void, which is technically the end of time. At the end of episode 4, everybody got pruned. Everybody who was trying to do right, they got pruned for the most part, because B-15, she did not. Smart lady. End up in the Void. Loki and Sylvie meet up with the other Lokis. Had a black one. He was dope. The old school Loki, Fire, ended up being really powerful and helpful. The child Loki was savage as fuck. He was the only Loki that was actually able to kill Thor. You gotta watch. Episode 5 was interesting because seeing the different not patterns, paths, or timelines, that the Lokis are or got to experience and hearing their stories. Oh no, it's pretty dope. They live the same life but different, if that makes sense. But they concoct this plan that they're going to enchant, which is basically brainwash the smoke, lion, wolf, tiger, guard dog shit that was like eating everything that got pruned into the void. It ended up working. We end up at the literal end of time in this chamber with my dog Kang. It's Kang with a G, just making sure I pronounce that right. Yes. And he was just like, hey, this is the end of the road. I'm going to tell y'all what it is, why shit was going on, the way it was going on. Do what you will with that information. Sylvia's like, nah, he got to go. All the shit he done put me through over my lifetime, it's a wrap. She do what she has to do. Our Loki goes back to the TVA, and everything is in a rut. The fucking Miss Minutes, the little TVA serial, whatever, she being shady as hell. Like, Yavanna got this like Stockholm syndrome going up that I hated because like black girl looking weird. I ain't gonna say nothing too inappropriate, but I don't know. I ain't want the black girl to have the Stockholm syndrome. She was like literally they telling her this is what the fuck going on. You have to believe us because look, this shit is crumbling. And she's like, no, it's a part of the greater good. This is a part of what's supposed to happen. I'm gonna like you don't see what the hell going on. Everybody is in shambles behind the truth, and you still attached to the lie. But that's neither here nor there. We'll see what happens in season 2. That's pretty much where they left it. If nothing I said really made sense like that, is because, I'm reviewing a whole 6-episode season, and like, I don't know how many minutes I'm at now. I think it's 20. But, and on top of that, I was quite confused myself until I seen, hey, we're going to drop season 2 at some point in the future. Because, like I said earlier, episode 6 left so many questions. Like, it left more questions than answers. And I was like, damn, what the fuck going on? Like, because Kang was explaining everything and how his variants are, like, so evil. And if they run into him, it's going to be problems, or run into anybody else. So I'm like, okay, so did you create a TVA? And if so, was it for the purpose of catching your variants? And if that was the reason, then how the fuck they started catching other variants? And then why were some variants able to stay and work at the TVA to catch other variants, and some got pruned and ate by your little ghost dog? And you know what I'm saying? Like, did you catch any of your fucking variants? Like, you scared of them niggas? Did you catch any of them? Like, why are you so okay? Well, I guess he did explain why he's okay giving up the spot and letting Loki run the TVA. But there's a lot of questions And I was like, okay, this was not it, man. I was like, damn, I don't. But then when they dropped, hey, season 2's coming, I was like, okay, cool, because there's no way this is gonna be the end unless we're gonna get a conclusion in the next Marvel movie, which I was like, that don't even make sense. Just talk about it here. But a lot of unanswered questions. Hopefully, I don't know if they're gonna have a season 3, but hopefully season 2 does a better job in answering more questions instead of leaving more questions. But overall, I get it, and I was like entertained, bro. I made it through all 6 episodes. They 45 minutes plus a piece. You know what I'm saying? I watched every minute of them. Like, even tried to stick around to see if there's gonna have end credits. They didn't. Just only on episode 6, and the end credit was, hey, season 2. Cool. But I don't know. I ain't really know what to expect going into Loki. I know he's like a fan favorite amongst the Marvel community or whatever. He don't really do it like that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, not in a I hate him way. It's just like, okay, I thought he was a side character in Thor's story, but turned out, you know what I'm saying, he got a little bit of depth to him, and I like that. I like that Marvel takes a risk and does well at it. Also, they take risk and they do well with the characters that are not the marquee. You know, they're not the Captain Americas and the Hulks and shit. Like, they take their what's the word? They take their like B-list characters and really amplify them to a point where I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now I see how you tie in to the A-list character story, and I also see why you need your own shit going on and people like you so much. So I won't say this series made me a fan of Loki just as a Marvel character in general, but he's cool. I'm not indifferent towards him anymore. You know, I want to see season 2, so that's what I'm gonna do when it drops. But yeah, let me know how y'all feel about Loki season 1. I've been seeing some reviews out there. I listened to some other podcasts. It's getting pretty, like, you know, generally good reviews. Some people was saying way too much. It wasn't as good as y'all saying, but I get it, because WandaVision, that was probably my number 1. That's my favorite on here so far. It was a perfect blend of like real life shit, because we had to see Wanda deal with trauma, or her trauma following all the death that she's experienced, just being tied up in this whole Marvel shit, this Endgame and Thanos and all this bullshit. We got to see Vision return from the dead, and Monica Rambeau made it her debut, or not debut, her appearance, because she was in was she in? Yeah, she was in Captain Marvel, but at a younger stage. I don't know, it's a perfect blend of fantasy fiction, superhero shit, and then like real world, like humanized problems. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was more real life than fantasy fiction, but that's because nobody in there really got no powers. You got super soldiers running around. Sam got these fucking Stark wings, and now he finally got his vibrating wings. The costume is fucking phenomenal. I love it. It looked good. I like the costume. Shout out to the Black Captain America. You know, we got to see Aya and the Dora Milaje. They came through, you know what I'm saying, put Bucky on his ass. But this is all some shit. Like, if somebody had enough money, we would have super soldiers. If somebody had enough money, I probably could buy a jetpack with some fancy wings and shit like that. Like, it was more real life than it was fantasy fiction, but that's because of the characters. This one, mostly fantasy fiction. We was time traveling every fucking episode from the beginning. From episode 1 to episode 6, it was time traveling happening. And I don't know, I know people tend to like that. Like, they like their comic book hero movies to be rooted more in the fiction and the fantasy and the lore of the world, just because it's a pretty decent escape from the real life bullshit that we have to deal with, which for me, Captain America or Falcon, because he is Captain America now, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier touched on that a lot with how they chose to have these conversations about how America views black people and America views people that are not white, because the terrorists, quote unquote, were like not even from America. But yeah, I understand. They want to escape the harsh realities of the real world in their little fantasy fiction, and that's cool. I get it. But given that we had 6 episodes of not pure questions, but mostly questions and some dope answers that led to a conclusion in season 6 that's not even really a conclusion. Like episode 6. It feels like season 2, episode 1, part 1, if that makes sense. Like, it's definitely a to be continued moment, and it was like, well, damn, I have so many more questions that you just put on this table for me. I don't know, but overall, I enjoyed the series, and I don't know what y'all think. Let me know. Get in the comments wherever I decide to post this content. Let me know. I'm cool with talking about it. Raising Kanan just came out. Power Book 3, Raising Kanan is what I'm going to cover next. I'm a big Power fan. You know what I'm saying? I like all of the shit that they've been doing. Shout out to 50 Cent and the good people over at Stars. Everybody that has anything to do with Power, shout out to y'all. Can't wait, but this is not the episode. So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.